What's going on, everybody? This is SJG, and I want to welcome you to the channel, SJG Media. If you're new here, and pretty much the great chances are that you're new here because just relaunching the channel. Just making sure that you guys are getting a chance to check this out. It's the first live interview that we're doing on the channel. And I'm really excited to have this person as my first guest, someone that I admire, I respect a lot. And I think, and not just myself, not just because of our ties, but there are a lot of people as well, within, there are a lot of people as well within the photography world and even beyond that. My guest that I have on here, he is a lot of things. He is a father, he's a husband, he's a grandfather. He's a hardworking man and a connector of people. A lot of people will know him primarily from photography. He has a great story that I think will resonate with a lot of people. And of course, we'll bring him on in a second. But William Anthony, who I have on, his story isn't just about. This isn't just for photographers, right? You might be watching this saying, "Hey, Steve, I don't shoot photos. I'm not a videographer or anything like that." But if you have a dream and you have something that you want to achieve and a goal that you want to achieve, and you are willing to work hard and push for that because you have a vision, even if nobody else sees it, then this interview should do you some good and hopefully will provide you some much needed inspiration. Without any further ado, we'll get into it. My guest, Mr. William Anthony, of owner of William Anthony Photography. Will, how you doing today, man?
Doing great, man. Doing great. So happy to be here, man.
No doubt about it. Yeah, it is definitely a pleasure to have you on for sure. So let's go back. Let's go back. We'll get into your story too, but just so we establish the connection here, you and I actually, are related, through marriage, and it's so crazy that we might not. I don't know when we would have. Our paths that didn't even cross in that regard until they path crossed in pursuing our dreams. Just talk about the first time you met me and first time we met. I think it was a pretty cool story that folks would like to hear.
Yeah, so first of all, man, thanks for having me on, man. Thanks for having me on. I've done a couple of podcasts here recently, but really looking forward to this one, you know. So, everybody, my name is William Anthony, William Anthony Photography. I've been a photographer for 12 years. I met Steven, I think back in 2013, 14, CIAA basketball tournament in Charlotte. So that chance, nothing but God. I ended up sitting beside Stephen at one of the early women's games. Everyone knows the women plays early and the guys play. Probably was like 12 noon. And met Stephen, sat down beside Stephen, and I was there to shoot and covered Chowan University. And Stephen was covering his alma mater, Winston-Salem State University. And we were the only two guys there shooting because it was like the first game in the morning, 12 o'clock. A lot of guys don't like to shoot those early games. They like to shoot the big nighttime games.
Right.
So, you know, that chance, I sit beside Steve and we started talking or whatever. And Steve asked me where I was from. I told him I was from, a little town, northeast North Carolina. He's like, hey, where's that? I got people in small areas or whatever. And I told him where I was from. And he said, my grandmother's from the area. And I said, what's your grandmother's name? And come to find out, his grandmother and my wife's grandmother were first cousins. So right then and there, that was a connection. It's kind of meant to be. Since that time, Steve and I have been friends. Worked CIW tournament together for several years. Um, I would always see Steve at the tournament. Also see him at the football media day before football season. Yeah, that's how we met.
Yeah, man. It was you look back and that's been almost a decade now. I was a little bit
Yeah,
younger than I am. Then you haven't aged quite as much as I have since
yeah,
then. But
right.
it's yeah, man. It was great to the CIAA. For anyone who doesn't know, because this isn't the normal audience. That is the basketball tournament on the East Coast for a lot of the HBCUs at the Division II level. It's a very big thing, and we'll get into a second why it's so special that Will was even there. But first, we want to give folks a little bit a background about you. So I know you are a native of Ahoskie, North Carolina,
So,
which is in the far northeast corridor of North Carolina. Very small place. Like I said, I only knew of it because of my grandmother being from there. But it is a very it's a very um, tight knit region, a very family oriented. Like I know my family, living a couple hours away. Like we refer to it as down home, and I thought that was just a us thing, but it turns out that a lot of people refer to that the same way. It's a very rural area. A lot of folks, have gone from there to all over the world. Families, dispersed all the way from, New York and up that far to everywhere. So it's a place that a lot of people have left, and a lot of people have left from. But you're a native there. You've cultivated yourself or cultivated your life there. Just talk about your journey to photography from Ahoskie, North Carolina.
yeah, so basically, Stephen, I graduated in 1982 at High School, and once I graduated, I always attended all the local sporting events, mainly football, basketball, and went to every game home and away. Just a big fan of a high school, which is now Hereford County High School. So along the way, I just happened to had a niche for photography through um, kind of just hanging out with the little digital camera at the family reunions and things like that, family cookouts, and just fell in love with photography, man. The family always knew that I was coming with the camera. This was before I actually started with the big cameras and things like that. So eventually, I started just um, covering the little league teams and things like that, and worked my way up to the high school level. And got to the high school level, I started sending photos into the newspaper, and that was a big hit with the newspaper. Going to all the little schools in the area and kind of sending photos in and getting people publicized and for their sport efforts in the area, whatever. Um, then I left from there, and actually, we have a local retired sports editor. His name is Gene Motley. He's from Wilmington, North Carolina. He was in the game for a long time. He moved back from Wilmington, North Carolina to our area where he went to school at. And when he was in Wilmington, he was one of the big sports guys, like the guys you see on
Hmm.
Football Friday and stuff like that. He actually covered Michael Jordan in high school.
Wow.
So once I linked up with him, he had long reach in the sports industry. So he was able to get me on at Chowan University, and that's how I got into CIAA. He was sending me to ECU. We had a local kid playing at ECU back in 2014-15. At ECU, I met a lot of people, and just always just being a good student of the game and being cordial to people, drop business cards and things like that. Next thing you know, word kind of got around. I started a Facebook page and Instagram page, and just pummeled it with sports every day, everything I was shooting. I still do to this day. I think I got like 5,500 posts on Instagram right now that go way back to those days. But while I was shooting CIAA, when I met you, rather, I was on the shoot for Trawan, and I fell in love with sports photography so much that I would basically sit under the goal and shoot every game because the credential that we had allowed us to shoot for the whole week. So that's how I noticed got noticed by the commission of the CIAA. A couple years later, like 2015, I was actually one of their main photographers covering the championships. So we went to basketball championship. I think we covered bowling championship. As a matter of fact, remember you covered tennis championship with me. You came
Yeah,
down, you wanted to
yeah.
go to Maryland, did tennis championship. So just posting all those photos and word that around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of good stuff there too, and didn't want to stop you in the flow of it, but I want to come back to a couple of things. So, um, Will has again, he started from locally in his backyard, but he has,
Yeah.
and I should have said this earlier, he has gone far beyond that. He's ascended, covered basketball at the highest level, in the ACC in college. They had a rough year, but University of North Carolina, he's covered them. He's also done the NBA and a lot of the NFL as well. Which some of the is definitely more glamorized stuff. Or it's something that is, and we'll talk about you taking the steps to achieve your dreams. But how. So you work a full. So in doing all this, a lot of people don't know, you work a full-time job, like a lot of creative people. You work a full-time job, and you've been there for quite a while.
36
And
years.
wow, right. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm 30 and I'm 37. So,
Yeah.
that speaks to a lot about you and about who you are and where you come from. But, just talk about, when you made that decision to go to really go, and how old were you, where were you in life when you decided that you were really gonna invest, because anybody who does anything creative is it's an investment, especially on the front end when you're not making money and things like that. What triggered you to really invest? How old were you? And just give folks a little bit on that.
Yeah. So for all the young people out there, it's never too late to pursue your dreams. I was actually 48 years old
Hmm.
when I met Steven. I was shooting college. Um, Bought my first DSLR camera at 47 years old. Um, but like anything, it was a passion, it was a niche, and now it's all consuming. So to answer the question, I just say to anyone, just find your passion. Your passion lies within you. It's given to you from God. You'll know when you find it. Um, but it doesn't matter where you're from. I'm from a small town of 5,000 people. You know, and now I'm known in quite a few places. Um, just from the hunger and desire to pursue one's dreams.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And yeah, you talk about that. I know you recently, were flown out to Oklahoma and given a speech out there, and things like that. But let's talk about that too. Again, you were saying, you were, in your second half of your 40s. A lot of people are sitting there thinking that time has passed them by, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's too late for them to pick up and do something that they want to do. What were, besides your internal motivation, what were some of the things that, were there moments where you, what is it about you that allows you to think beyond the box, do you think, and outside the box? I think, when people get to know you and know your work, they'll know that, thinking outside of the box is one of the things I think that you do an awesome job at. And I think a lot of people could learn from that as much as you can learn about that. Just talk about what gave you the belief to pursue this, because again, you say you work a job, a full-time job, very strenuous, and to come out and then go and put your time, effort, and money into something that it's more work. You know, a lot of people see photography or see creative ventures and they just think, oh, it's just fun. You just hop out in front of the camera, or you just grab a camera and just start shooting, and the next day you're shooting there. But just talk about you know, just your drive and your passion and what helped motivate you. You know, those days when maybe your pictures weren't as great as you wanted to, or you weren't getting the callbacks that you wanted.
Yeah, so basically, I just kept shooting, man, shooting, submitting photos to newspaper. My entry into UNC basketball came from Instagram. Um, I think it was 2018. A lady sent me a message on Instagram, told me she had been following me, and she was actually a photographer at UNC Chapel Hill, and she's working with one of the local um, newspapers at Chapel Hill. And North Carolina football team had got invited out to a bowl game. And as you know, Steve, football, college football intersects with college basketball the first month of the year. So she was asked to go out there, and Carolina basketball had a preseason game the same week. So I didn't know this lady, but she hit me up on Instagram and asked me would I be interested in covering North Carolina. And I was like, yeah, sure, you know. So a couple of days later, I started getting all these follow requests from different entities in North Carolina. And sure enough, she got me out there on the preseason game. Matter of fact, they were playing your alma mater, Winston State
Right.
exhibition game, I think 2019. You know, when I
Mm-hmm.
did, uh, and submitted my photos, and they liked them a lot. And then they invited me back to another preseason game, and went back to that. Then I just did the preseason games. Then that was it for that year. So next year, um, they asked me that I want to do more games, and actually went back and did my first regular season game. And you know, when you go and check your bags at Carolina, you always got to stop at the media room and they you know, check your bags. So the second time when I went back, the lady gave me a season pass and you know, kind of blew me away. That gave me the confidence that I could do. You know, this was North Carolina basketball. This was,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm a fan of North Carolina basketball. This was the dream job. And at that point, I knew then that I could, like, you know, basically hold my own anywhere because I was doing that. So, oh, I like that. So, yeah, this is some of my work. Stevens on here, my Instagram feed. So I am a full-time, well, I am a dedicated photographer, Carolina basketball and football now. Speaker credential for both sports. Um, Also, through social media, again on Facebook, I had a guy following me on Facebook, and he was a photographer for LSU Tigers and New Orleans Saints. So he told his boss about me as well, reference to me covering a Carolina, New Orleans Saints football game because he
Mm-hmm.
was doing the home games and road games, and got to the point it was hard for him to do the road games. So I got a shot with them with the New Orleans Saints back in 2015. They came to Carolina. Same thing happened, Stephen. I sent submitted photos and ended up doing a couple of road games. And now this upcoming season, I'm doing 7 New Orleans Saints road games. And the photo you have right here is Tom Brady. Actually, this was a particular game when New Orleans Saints came down there in 2021, I think. This was a game that was 9-0. And I think the Saints won on a Sunday night. Yeah, very big moment there. That was Tom Brady's. Well, it was his first retirement before he
Right.
retired again. But you know, to be out there with Tom Brady and Gronk and the Bulls, you know, knowing that he was future Hall of Fame that you know that in the world. Um, you know, while we're on the subject, you know, through this entity, I met Kevin Hart twice. Um, One time at the CIW tournament. Steve, you may remember the time when Livingstone was playing, I think Virginia State in the CIW tournament. The game was going on, and Kevin Hart came to the game with his entourage, and the ball went baseline, landed in front of
Mhm.
Kevin Hart. He picks the ball up and shoots a 3 pointer and it rims out in the middle of the CIW tournament championship game. You know, it was pretty wild. And
Mm.
I got the photo with Kevin Hart that night, and met him again this year, last year, the Philadelphia Eagles game. Took a selfie with Kevin Hart. Uh, so
Gotcha. Yeah. And I think one of the things too that I've picked up from you, and I know, for transparency, I do sports photography as well. Not quite as well as William does, but because I'm juggling a couple other things at the same time. But in photography, timing is everything.
yeah,
So talk to me about timing for you, not only in photography, but it seems like not only in the technical side of photography, but it seems like for you, what timing, how that's helped you advance your career. It seems like you have a knack for being in places, whether it's taking a photo or whether it's meeting someone that can help you advance. How important is timing to the success that you had in growing your career? Would you say?
well, the timing has a lot to do with being on time, being early, being prepared. You know,
Yeah, that's a problem
um,
over this way, man. I'm just kidding.
yeah,
Yeah.
being prepared, man. We get to games like a couple of hours before the game starts, and kind of get set up. But knowing the sport, Steve, is a lot too, man. Playing the sport, knowing where the ball is going. You know, um, and I never met a stranger, Steve. So you know, on my Instagram, I think 80% of my followers are photographers. 80% of the people I follow are other photographers. We kind of I tell people we got our own fraternity now. Didn't go to college, not a Greek fraternity, but photography fraternity. You know what I mean? Guys and girls all over the place, man. So timing is everything. I'll be going to out to Texas at the end of the month for the Texas School of Professional Photographers. You know what I mean? That's the biggest photography school in America. That's 7 days. So I met a lady out there last year named Jamie Carr. She was teaching the sports photography class that I attended. So we hit it off. And she's the one that invited me back to Oklahoma City, in February because of the link there. Timing. You know what I mean? So the last podcast I did last month, um, one of the guys that attended the seminar that I did, he had his own podcast. So he invited me to be on his podcast. You know what I mean? So that's the way it is, man. It's kind of treat everybody right, do what you say you're gonna do, be on time, and good things will happen. But Stephen, I started shooting high school ball at Hutchinson County High School, 2012, and I had a dream that one day I was going to be on the NFL sideline. I put it out there to the universe. As a matter of fact, I
Hmm.
told one of the coaches there, I said, man, one day I'm going to be on the NFL sideline. He looked at me and he said, not from here, you won't. So you know what that did. Like,
Right.
you tell me I'm not going to do something, it's done. You can check it off. So now that guy, tells me all the time, you did it. You know what I mean? I'm not done though. You know what I mean? I'm hungry, man. Just trying to, but get back to timing. It's everything. Right place, right time, knowing the sport, um, and being aggressive, being hungry, hustle. You know what I mean? I met Snoop Dogg in Tampa a couple of years ago. The reason I met Snoop Dogg was because I was in the media room and I heard the guy's voice, man, over everybody out there in the hallway. You know what I mean? Go out there and got a selfie with Snoop. You know what I mean? Uh, Met Marcus Allen in the SEC championship game 2020.
Mhm.
You know, so I just tell people, whatever you want to do, you can do it. But if it's a dream, it's there for a reason. You know, don't never give up on your dream. Never, ever give up on your dream. That's the main thing. I'm 50.
Yeah.
I just turned 59. I'm still dreaming, man. I got big dreams. I want to shoot the Olympics. You know what I mean? Super Bowl. Um, I want to shoot at every NFL stadium. You know what I mean? It's gonna happen. You know why? because I want to do it. And, listen, I'm going to connect with the people. I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So many great things from that, and I think a lot of that is, you talked about. I know you talk a lot about 10,000 hours. You know,
Oh, yeah.
the belief that you got to really become a master of the craft. You got to do something
Yeah.
for 10,000 hours, and a lot of people that would scare people.
Oh, yeah.
But with your background, you know how to work. You know what I mean. You know how to
Yeah.
work. You're not afraid of work. That's what you know. And then, um, too, I think another thing that I believe makes you successful and that I see in you is that you came. You talked about how you didn't pick up the camera until you were in your second half of your 40s, and that had you started earlier in your life. I listen to a lot of older sports photographers or who've been doing this for so long, and the game has changed, right? It used to be that it was access to only a few people. You had to go to, a school for photojournalism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You had to, have the money or have someone sponsor you. And it's expensive. You got these big cameras, big lenses, like you know, not to put your business out in or anything like that, but I know, the stuff that you've invested a lot of money into it. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
not
Tens of thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands
tens
of
of
dollars. Yeah.
right. So,
But you
you've
just think
invested a
about it. Yeah, the hustle fee, it's all paid
mhm,
for. You
right.
know, but I keep it
Yeah,
updated. I'm always,
right.
that
Yeah.
that's
So,
what keeps me working so hard, man. These,
right.
I just moved up the Maryland this past year, man. It's the life
Hmm.
changing.
Right.
I sold all my DSLR stuff and got two six Maryland fighters,
Hmm.
and yeah,
Yeah. And
people
I
can't
mean, that's,
believe.
that's, that's
Yeah,
another thing I think that is just it's just great the way the path that you've taken and the timing is I think that's allowed you to be nimble because I think
yeah,
a lot of other sports photographers who've been doing this for a long time they remember the days where you know only a couple people could do this and only a
yeah,
couple people had the equipment and the access and things like that and they were used to having it. I'm not going to say easy, but it was a lot easier. You have to hustle a lot more now because not only are you competing with those guys, you're also competing with some young kids, who, have, were able to get, $1,000 DSLR for, or DSLR or mirrorless camera or and they're out and they've got this burst mode that's, that helps them capture moments that maybe they're not necessarily good enough to do. But I think a lot of people are afraid of a lot of those things and a lot of those changes. But it seems like you've come along at a time where the business is changing and you've been able to adapt. And I think, again, that speaks to, your hard work, your perseverance and your timing. And then, just talk about your ability and your willingness to adapt and how you think that's helped you as you continue to grow.
okay. Yes, constant that. Juggling work life and business life. Um, Fortunately, on my job, I work a job that's 2 days on, 2 days off every other weekend. So I kind of plan my schedule around the days off. Do a lot of sleep when I get out working night as well. I got to pass the baseball field to get home at night this time of year. So it's a good stress reliever to stop the baseball games and get a free shot, get home, things like that. But just gotta, my Google calendar is full. My April calendar is really full. Like I said, I got a vacation. I'll get a text at the end of the month. I got a bunch of games I got to get in. Actually, I have 17 high school and private schools that I cover, and juggling that. I found a way to monetize that. With the creation of you probably seen the infamous, Lace That Books. Um, they are all the rage now on my Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
The way that originated was, you know, finding a way to monetize the business. Right now, with the Lace That Books, we're kind of doing things on spec. People are hiring me to come out and cover their individual kids. That way, we can get them what they need. Um, Probably sold hundreds of Layflat books now. That's 90% of what the business entails. But maneuverability, Steve, always adjusting, always planning ahead. And yeah, that particular photo there, man, that's one of my infamous dad and son shots. You know what I mean? That's his son there. That was a big hit. Yeah, let's see some more, Steve. Let's talk about the stories behind some of these photos, man.
Right. Got you.
Yeah,
Yeah, no doubt.
this
Yeah.
is
So
story
yeah, and as
behind.
we're doing this, keep talking about the lay flats because I think, again, a lot of people are trying to figure out how to get into this. You're investing a lot of money, and then how to figure out, how you were able to supplement it with the lay flat books and things like that.
Yeah, so basically, Layflat books. One of my ladies in the local high school, she was at a tournament in 2017, and the guy asked her, he showed her book after she interested in it. And she was interested, but she knew I was taking care of them at the school locally here. So basically, she asked me could I do it, and I figured out a way to do it. To go on the internet, research all the book companies, and kind of narrow it down to the point where now this is what we're doing. Basically, um, covering the kids and getting particular different action shots. Um, I cover all the sports, and we're doing Layflat books for every sport now. Um, but that's just like finding the mix, Steve. You know what I mean? I do calendars, I do canvas, things like that. Kind of trying to use the Steve Jobs analogy with Apple products. They only have a few products. You know what I mean? iPhone, iPad, things like that. So instead of me having 10 or 20 products, I'm just trying to perfect 3 or 4 products. So we have the lace mat book, and we have the canvas. We have a couple of other items for office desks and things like that. But the lace mat book is when I first started, I know one of the grandparents told me that she was sleeping with her grandson's book on her pillow. Another lady told me that her husband cried when he saw his son's lace mat book. You know, so the emotions of the book and what they do just let me know that hey, this is something that everybody may want. You know what I mean? So I came up with the hashtag of Layflat Book Movement. So if you go to Facebook and search Layflat Book, the Layflat Book Movement, you'll get a bunch of Layflat books and things like that. And that's pretty much the basis of what I do now.
Yeah. And again, we live in a world where I think that's brilliant because we live in a world where people aren't necessarily printing photos like they used to. It
Exactly.
used to be that was the only way that you had to. So I think that definitely is a
Great point.
standout thing.
Great
And I
point.
think that's something that I think you said in a previous podcast, like and I've heard you talk about this on Facebook too. It's like, photography is maybe not necessarily just clicking a button, but what you do is capturing the memories. Talk about I think you've made some talk a commentary about really more than photography. You're capturing memories for people. Talk about that.
Yeah, we're talking about family heirlooms, Stephen. Very, very personal, um, emotional. I mean, you turn the page, and your kid is on every page. And we have kids that I had my first group of college graduates this past year that I made their flipboards for. And they had a Christmas tournament, and they were coming back and talking about how much they flipboards meant to them, things like that. I just covered last Saturday a little league basketball tournament, kindergarten to third grade. So these are the same kids, little brothers and sisters of these college graduates and high school kids. So what I'm doing now, Steve, I'm trying to get them in the system early. They're not old enough to play school ball. So we found a way to get them into the system at 5 years old. You know what I mean? So I follow these kids from 5 years old all the way to college. And very, very personal, man. Very, very personal, very emotional. Last summer, one of the little girls asked me to sign a leaflet book. That was really personal. They're bringing the kids to the book deliverers. When I deliver the books, they're bringing the kids out, man. And the kids are wanting to meet me. And the kids now talking about grades and school and life and everything, man. So I got a bunch of kids, man, and I never forget them. You know what I mean? Yeah, you order a book, and we like to have friends. You know, um, it's very, very personal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think one of the things too, you're not afraid to take other folks under your wing and mentor them. I know there's a young man in your area that came to you and curious about the camera, and I know you kind of helped point him in the right direction. Just talk about for somebody who didn't go to school for this, to be able to go out and teach people and just to kind of help shape the next generation, just kind of what that means for you and beyond beyond images on a page.
Yeah. So yeah, young fella named Ashton Ambrose. It was a guy's game. I'm shooting a game at his middle school, and he came up to me, and started talking about my camera, and he knew what camera I had, caught my attention, and we shot several basketball games together. He's a video prodigy, you know what I mean? And he's going to be on he's already on my team basically. But just I tell people that, and Stephen, it's 80% business and 20% photography here. How you treat people, working the business, working the mix, and he he does some video for me. A lot of the reels you see me posting now, he's doing them, and I'm posting them. You know what I mean? You know how the reels go. That's the new thing now. The short video clips. They're doing a lot of those, but never be afraid to help people. You know, you never know. I tell Ashton all the time, I'm gonna work with him one day. He's 13, Steve. Can you imagine? What his life is gonna be like in 10 years. You know what I mean? Very good kid. Um, yeah, I got a couple more mentors. Um, got a young man I went to school with, Rodney Harlem. He shoots at Elon now, right down the road from you. So I
Hmm.
brought him out to one of the high school games and showed him how to shoot football. Last time I did some softball tournaments out there at Walnut Creek and Raleigh. I brought him out there and showed him how to shoot softball. So he actually works for Elon right now. So I got another brother down there in Greenville, Salute Edwards, played at he played Morgan State, I think it was. At the MEAC, graduated,
Hmm.
came back to the area. One of the kids I covered in high school is his best friend, and we shot a basketball game together at ECU. So he's branching out. He just did an HBCU All Star game. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So
Oh
really,
wow.
like, yeah. But the key thing is these guys have the passion. You know what I mean? They ain't messing around. They're investing in equipment and things like that. So just whoever God sends my way, I know right away to get ready. I know if they're hungry. I know if they got the desire. Just by asking a few questions. You know what I mean? So my goal ultimately is to build a team, so I won't have to work so hard. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. That's great. Not only teaching, but like you say, as you say, building a team and things like that. So, we're gonna get you off of here before too long, not to take up too much of your day. But we do have, we do want to make sure we get folks your website there, which is dynamicphotovideo.smugmug.com. Um, that's where we see you have a lot of your games and things like that. What's your favorite, what's your favorite sport to shoot?
I like them all, man. I like them all. I used to cover the Penn Relays up in Philly
Hmm.
a while back. Track and field was my first love because as we know, it's like 10, 12 events going on at the same time. You can just
Right.
point the camera in a direction and get some great stuff, man. So I haven't done that in a while. Started doing wedding photography and it started interfering with the pin relays. And now the last week of Texas school, the last week of April is Texas school. That's the same week of pin relays. So, you can't do it all. It's all, like you said, that's a big adjustment. So I'm trying to go on whatever, whatever God leads me at the time, which is now, Texas school versus pin relays, that aspect. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and as we close here, what would you say to someone who's in a position that you were, maybe 15 years ago, where there's something that you're interested in, or you're curious, or that you think you want, and you may not, you may not feel like you're in the right place. You may not have necessarily all the tools that you need, that people would say that you need to get started. But what would you say to someone in those shoes? What would you say to somebody who's at where William Anthony was back in 2009, 2010?
So I would say, don't listen to the naysayers, shun the naysayers. If it's something you have a desire to do, you have a desire because God gave you that desire. So I would say, find positive people, be around people that's doing what you're doing. Follow people that's doing what you're doing, asking questions. You know what I mean? I did that. I got mentors, Steve, that I still call. You know what I mean? And I've been in the game for a while. Every time I go to a new NFL stadium, I got a buddy, a shot every NFL stadium. So
Wow.
I call him up. You know what I mean? So I'm always looking to advance. I'm still asking questions. So just follow your dream. Call me up. You know what I mean? I'll tell you, you tell me where you're at, and I'll tell you, what I did. My number's posted on my Instagram. So look me up. Instagram, William Anthony Photography. I've got 6,000 photos up there going back to 2013. Or anyone wants Stephen that's interested, you send them my way. Yeah. Planning to retire here soon, man. So we can do this 24/7. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's definitely the dream. And again, as long as I've known you, like I said, everything you said you're going to do, you've either done it or you're making headway to doing it. So
Yes, sir.
it's going to be amazing to see what the future holds for you. Again, I want to thank you, William, for coming on. You and your furry friend down there. He's
Yeah.
wanted to be a part of the interview as well.
Yeah.
It's all good. Everybody's got a story to tell. So we appreciate you for hopping on and being the first guest, and then maybe I'm sure down the line we'll have you back again to talk about some of the new things that you got going on and everything else.
This is part one of many, man. Part one. Yeah.
No doubt. So I want to thank everybody that's tuning in to watch the video. Again, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications. This channel, I started it this year, and I wanted it to be more than just you looking at my face, even though that wouldn't be a bad idea for a YouTube channel, I don't think. But seriously, appreciate William for giving us of his time and his talents. Make sure you go to dynamicphotovideo.com, dynamicphotovideo.smugmug.com, and make sure you check him out on Instagram and Facebook, William Anthony Photography. Appreciate you guys for watching. Have a blessed one.
Thank you, Stephen. Great talking to you, buddy.
Yes, sir.